officer, he comes and gets me from holding. He takes me into this office. He goes, I'm sorry to inform you, but you're illegal. We're sending you back to Boston. I said, what? Whoo! Y'all see the title. I got denied entry into Portugal. Craziest day of my life that I will never forget. October 11th, 2022. Now let's backtrack a little bit to give y'all some pre-context. So 2021, around July 2021, I was trying to land a contract to come land and play in Portugal, to come play professional basketball here in Portugal. I landed a contract. When I asked the agent, what's the situation? What about the visa? He said, don't worry about it. Once you get there, the team will take care of it. I said, all right, just get me on a flight. I'm out, right? So now comes August 2021, I land in Portugal, and I'm playing basketball there. So throughout the months go by, I kept asking the team, hey, what about the visa situation? You guys give me the visa. This is post-COVID. So 2021, this is second lockdowns, post-COVID times. The immigration office is not really issuing a lot of appointments. So they tried here and there, guess it didn't work. So now the New Year's is coming. So January 2022 is approaching. And I'm now like, because remember, as an American, when you travel to another country, you get 3 months. So when I get there, I'm not really worried about it, right? But as those 3 months is winding down, I'm like, yo, y'all got to get me my visa. So I guess the New Year's comes around. I guess there was a law in Portugal at the time, if you were in the country before 2022, right? So if you arrive in 2021, your visas is extended for the year of 2022. You're technically having an extension to be in Portugal without officially having your visas. Now, guys, this is all gonna make sense. Stay to the end of this video to see what ends up happening. So this is all gonna make sense. So now, fast forward to May 2022. So now we hit the New Year's, May 2022. They call me, the team calls me and another American into the office. Basically, we had to leave the country. I had 3 days to leave. We had lost the game that we should have won, so we weren't going to playoffs. Combination of that, wasn't going to be able to pay the apartment that they had gotten for us, and we never officially had our visas. I didn't know the situation with that. Throughout the time, I just kept saying, pretty much what I was told was, you're good, because we were here before 2022. I was like, okay, just give me something in writing. Never had gotten that, cool. So now I have 3 days to leave Portugal, right? So my plan was to stay. So landing that contract that year, my plan was to also stay and live in Portugal. So when I left, I went to England. So I stayed with my bro, shout out to him. Now, for those who don't know, England went through Brexit in the end of 2020, 2021. So England is no longer part of the European Union. So my thought to go to England also was, I'm gonna go there. Once I get the stamp, now my 90 days will restart, right? Remember, you get 3 months in the country. So technically I was overstayed, right? So I go to England. I'm there for so basically my plan was, at the end of that season, I was gonna just travel. I've been saving up rewards points through some credit cards. I wanted to travel back in 2019, 2020, but then that's when COVID hit. So my plan was, after that season in Portugal, I was gonna travel. Well, having to leave the country, now I went to England. You know, I'm there 3 weeks, just going through it. Yo, what do I do next, etc. I'm like, you know what? Let me just start that traveling a little early. So this is May 2022, right? So I did a whole Euro tour. It was amazing. I went from London to Mykonos, Greece, Greece to Italy. I went Venice, Rome, Milan. Um, after Italy, I went to Prague, Czech Republic. After Prague, I believe I went to Spain, then Portugal. Then I came back to Portugal, right? Then I went back to Spain, back to Portugal. Portugal is basically like the home base. Then now I was having to go to the States. So I went to Marrakesh, Morocco for my birthday, back to Portugal. Now went to Colombia, and then now back to the States. So I did all that traveling. I'm in and out. I'm in and out of Portugal. I was in the European Union. This is all gonna make sense. Just stay tuned. So now I'm back in the States. This is August 2022, right? I had a wedding to go to and also some other personal things to attend. So now I'm operation. I need to get back to Portugal. After that situation, I kind of was like, all right, it's time to wrap it up. I was like, okay, I need to start taking control of my life and just, I want to be back in Portugal, no basketball. I just want to just get settled and stable, right? So, so now I'm just figuring it out. I also had tore my shoulder at the end of the season in Portugal. So, the team, they had set up treatment for me for when I get back and everything. So, so now I'm back in the States. This is 2022, August. I was there August, September, October, 2022, just figuring it out how to get back. I landed a situation where, so this is me starting life fresh. When I graduated college, I was playing professionally for a couple years. Now this is like, okay, next chapter, right? So now I landed a gig where I was able to volunteer in a hostel. That would be my free housing. And then boom, I'll get the treatment, start figuring out everything from there. So now the story actually begins. So I leave, I fly from Boston, I arrive in Portugal, 10/11/22, October 11, 2022. Here we go. So I'm in line, texted a friend, yo, we headed to the beach, I'm ready. I get to the lady at customs. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Portugal. What are you doing here? Hey, I'm here to get treatment on my shoulder, and I'm back in Portugal. She said, treatment? She's like, where's your medical visa? And I'm like, whoa. So that right away, that's where I messed up, right? I should have never said that. So she was like, where's your medical visa? I said, what are you talking about? She's like, you said you're getting treatment on your shoulder, where's your visa? I was like, oh, again, remember guys, as an American, you have 3 months in the country. So my plan was I'm gonna arrive in Portugal on my tourist visa. While I'm there, just figure out the visa from there, next step. I was like, oh, I don't have one, I'm just here. The team had given me, wrote me off to get treatment, I'm back, et cetera, et cetera. So she goes, give me a passport. She takes my passport. She's going through my passport, and this is taking long. Like, she's going through my passport. Other people are going by me. I'm like, man, what's the issue? She goes, just wait. After a couple minutes, she goes, come with me. I said, whoa, yo, listen. Listen, I don't know if y'all travel or not. When you get taken out of customs, that's not good. Just know that. So she was like, come with me. I said, whoa, what's the issue? She's not telling me nothing, right? All I remember was when she was checking my passport, she just kept making a face, right? And she was writing stuff. So she takes me out of customs. She brings me to immigration. Now listen, I'm like, whoa. Listen, y'all, this is not a place y'all want to be in. This is the side of the airport you don't see. I mean, it's basically like airport jail. I'm in holding, whatever. I'm looking around. She goes, sit here, this may take a while. I said, what? What's going on? Like, ma'am, I'm just trying to, like, what's the issue? I sit down, I'm looking to my left and right. People look like they're rotting, right? I'm in there with like the Cape Verdeans and the Brazilians that are getting sent back. I'm like, yo, where am I, right? So I'm just like, what did I do? What's going on, right? I'm thinking, yo, so I'm in there for hours, right? She said this may take a while. I'm there for a little bit, right? Now let me tell you something. I start thinking about everything. So remember, I was in Portugal for the year before that playing ball. I'm thinking about everything. Like, yo, how am I in immigration right now? I started thinking about everything I didn't do, wanted to do, did do everything. I'm like, what's going on? So after a couple hours, the officer, he comes and gets me from holding. He takes me into this office. He goes, I'm sorry to inform you, but you're illegal. We're sending you back to Boston. I said, what? I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, you're illegal. We can't let you in here. I'm like, illegal? What are you talking about? How am I illegal? He goes, you've been here. You're overstayed. I'm like, how am I overstayed? What are you talking about? I just got back here. He said, you've been here since August 2021. I said, August 2021? I was like, when I was playing basketball? And he's like, you were playing basketball? I'm like, yeah. Yo, wait. So he's like, can you show me? I'm like, do you think I'm lying about playing professional basketball in the country? I'm like, all right, cool. So I show him like the paperwork, the contract, like, so all that stuff. And he goes, so now he's confused, right? So I'm like, yo, you can't be confused. Y'all not letting me in here. Y'all are the ones denying me access into the country. Now you're confused. He goes, he's like, something's not adding up. Now, remember, guys, this is also 2 years ago. This is before I spoke Portuguese, and his English is not great. So I'm in another country, getting denied access into the country. The immigration officer barely speaks English. I barely speak Portuguese. This was just a difficult conversation, right? So he was like, I pretty much explained to him, hey, like I was here playing basketball. I'm back now. I had gotten injured. I'm back to get treatment, all that stuff. He was like, show me the the paperwork. So I showed him the paperwork from the doctor. I show him everything, right? So now I'm also explaining to him the whole situation of remember guys, the context that I had given you of being in the country before 2022, right? How if you arrived in 2021, we had that like extension since the immigration services wasn't issuing like appointments to get your visa, right? And so he's confused about that. I'm like, how do y'all not know about this? So this is another thing about the immigration system here. Like, listen, things are constantly changing. It's a very bureaucratic country. Depending on who you get, they may not know or not. I'm like, so I call my homies, and I was like, yo, bro, I need help. I'm like, yo, bro, can you please talk to him, explain the situation of the whole that rule that they had put, that law, excuse me, that they had put if you were here before 2022, et cetera, et cetera. So he's speaking Portuguese with him, again, because remember, this conversation was difficult. So he's trying to explain it to him. He's confused about that. He's even saying stuff like, well, what about you? I'm like, whoa, this is about me, right? So basically he puts me on the phone. He was like, yo, bro, don't go into like details about it with him about like my situation. I'm like, cool. Like I'm the one here getting denied. I'm just trying to get in, yo. So I guess the officer just wasn't aware about this, right? So now I call the trainer that was from my team. I'm like, listen, I'm getting denied access into the country right now. Could you just please explain to this officer I was here? They were working on trying to get the visa, et cetera, et cetera. So they're now having a conversation. And now this officer is actually like, now I have people calling him. So I'm backing up my case. I'm showing him highlights, contracts, doctor's notes, all that. So he sees I'm not just bluffing and trying to get in. So whatever conversation they have on the phone now, the trainer, puts him back on the phone. He goes, listen, look. He's like, yo, the team might have effed up your situation. You may have to go back to get to get a visa, then come back. I'm like, in my head already, I'm like, that's not happening. That's just not happening. So now, so now basically after, this is like, remember, this is probably like an hour of this going on. I'm like, yo, you don't see me in the system. Like, what's situation? So now after all this, I call I called the president of the club. Due to a situation, I had to speak to the vice president. I was like, yo, listen, because somebody didn't do their job, man. I'm being denied access in the country. Can y'all please just send me the information that y'all had filled? I was here playing ball. You guys set this up. Like, just send me the information that I'm actually here in the system. Please, somebody do that. We had our daughter fill it out. I'm like, what? I'm like, yo, listen, I'm just, at this point, I'm kind of just frustrated because I'm just like, okay, I'm starting to kind of see what's happening. So it was just a very unorganized situation. So after waiting after waiting for a bit, they now send me the email. He sends me the email of what they had filled out, right? I now received it. Again, it's in Portuguese, right? So I don't know what's on this, but I'm like, okay, it looks like I'm good, right? So now I turn the computer around. So I have my laptop in the office with the officer. I turn it around, I show him. So I'm like, yo, I'm good, right? Here it is. Here it is. Can y'all let me in? He goes, after looking at it for a couple minutes, he goes, He's like sitting back like this. I'm like, now I see the situation. I'm like, what? He goes, listen, the team filled out your information, but they never submitted it. They're like, you're not in the system. I said, what? He was like, I'm sorry, but I can't let you in here. So when that happens, man, I'm just sitting back now. I'm like, yo, the amount of frustration and rage I now have at this point, I'm just like, wow. And remember, so now this is gonna make sense. So remember that rule I had mentioned to you guys. If you were in the country before 2022, your temporary visas were technically extended, right? That's if your application was submitted and you had an appointment to then get your visa/residency. I had none of that. And I did not know until I arrived back in Portugal after being there for the year, right? So I looked at him, I'm like, yo, you can't not let me, I look at the officer, I'm like, you can't not let me in here because like they didn't do their job. He was like, nah, that is your job. Truthfully, I'm like, when he did that, I'm like I low-key kind of, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you know what, he's right. Like, straight up, I'm like, you know what, he's right. I can't even get mad at this point, right? Another thing is too, when I was at immigration and the lady was going through my passport, remember when I left Portugal, I went to England, right? I only went to England for 3 weeks. So when I came back and I was doing that Euro tour, all of those days were just adding on to my overstayed days, right? So technically because remember, Portugal is part of the EU, which is the European Union. So even when I was in Italy, Greece, all these countries, that's just days that are just overstayed, right? And I didn't know. Because when you leave, you have 3 months in a country, but it's 30 days within 190 days. So when you leave, you have to leave for 3 months for your 30 days to now restart. I was only in England for 3 weeks, right? So that's on me, right? So I'm just back. So now I'm just getting denied. So guys, when I left 2022, I took my life with me. I had everything in one suitcase. I got on a flight to Boston. I was like, I'm out. This is life after ball. I'm moving here. I'm living here, right? And I'm gonna get to my suitcase in a second. So he was like, So now I'm being denied entry. So guys, when you get denied entry into a country, for those that don't travel or don't know, you get a big red X on your passport. You get a stamp, a red X stamp on your passport. And denial is 10 years. Like you can get a 10-year ban for being illegal, right? And remember, these countries all operate as one union. So going to another European country, they will see that and you will be stopped. So I'm like, right away, I'm like, listen, do not put that. I'm looking at the officer. I'm like, yo, do not put that red X on my passport. So he was like you're illegal. We're denying you. Yo, so I'm like, he's like, we're sending you back to Boston. I looked at him. I was like, I promise you, I'm not going back. Yo, just like that. The whole time he's typing, I said that. I was like, I'll go to London. He was like, what? I was like, I'll go to London. Basically, I got the bro over there. I was like, I'm gonna just, like, right away, I just thought about it. I was like, I'll go to London. I'm gonna just restart, reset, go there, plan B, figure it out from there. So by law, when you get denied access into a country, they're supposed to send you back to where you came from. I sound like I just arrived on like as an immigrant off the boat, right? It's crazy, man. This is just crazy, just saying all this stuff. But after this whole day, after hours, right? He saw that I was very cooperative. He saw that this was something that was even out of my knowledge of why I was getting denied, right? Off of the initial factor of what I did not do or did not have. I was here on a professional basketball club, right? So he goes, all right, you know what? You can go to London, right? I was like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? I told you I'm not going back. So, guys, to give you guys context now, I landed at 11 a.m. This is now around 5 p.m. at this point. So I spent hours in the immigration and then also probably like an hour and a half in his office going through all this. So remember, when I landed, I never got through customs, right? So guys, y'all thought what just happened was crazy? Here's the next step. Here's the next chapter. So when he says, okay, I can go to London, I'm now buying the flight. I'm like, hold on, I don't have my bags. I was like, yo, y'all never let me through customs. He goes, oh. I'm like, yeah, oh. He goes, all right, I'm gonna have to escort you, walk you down there. I'm like, y'all escorted me like I committed a crime or something. So now we go downstairs, right, to go and get my bags. And he goes, excuse me, I don't see my bags, right? Like I don't see it through the belt. So now I go to Lost and Found. I was like, how you doing? I arrived here earlier this morning. I don't see my bags, this and that. She's checking the system. Nobody looks. She goes, I'm sorry to inform you, but your bags never arrived. I said, what? I'm like, ma'am, I flew. So now I'm heated. Guys, if y'all don't, for everybody watching that doesn't know me personally, it takes a lot for me to get upset. Ask somebody that you know, how many times have you seen me upset other than losing a basketball game, right? Now I'm heated. I get denied access into a country. I'm in there I'm in immigration for hours for something that I did not even know about, right? And now she's saying my bags never arrived. I was like, ma'am, I flew overnight, one flight, no layover from Boston. How is my bags not here? She goes, oh, look, might have not arrived. I'm not sure. You're gonna have to call. I'm like, ma'am, just look. I'm like, go look. She's like, your bags never arrived. So I'm looking at the officer now. I'm like, yo, y'all can't send me to London without my bags, right? Without my suitcase. He goes, look, you have two options. You're either going to London or Boston, right? What you're gonna have to do without your bags, what you're gonna have to do is call the airline, they'll ship it to you. Yo, once he said that, I was like, I'm not getting them. I was like, I'm not getting them. Listen, something you guys need to know about Portugal. Portugal is a laid back, slow country, right? When it comes to certain stuffs like shipping, mailing, and especially airport services, just forget about it. Just forget about it. Because months before my friends came, their suitcase never arrived. They still never got it to this day. I don't even know if they got their refund. So after all that finagle, we go back upstairs to immigration. And when that was happening, the officer looked at me. He was like, damn, you're having a bad day. I was like, yo, don't talk to me. I was like, yo, don't talk to me. Like, I'm just heated. So now we go back upstairs. And they're about to pretty much feed everybody dinner. Listen, let me tell y'all something. I'm never going to jail. I'm just never going to jail. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. Like, so he was like, look, you've had a long day. We're about to feed everybody food, right? Book your flight, stay here. So just so you guys know, the only flights left to go to London from Lisbon was the next morning. So I have to spend the night in the airport, right? So he's like, you've had a long day. We're gonna feed everybody food. Just relax a little bit, eat. After that, after an hour, I'll walk you through to the gate for your flight for tomorrow. I'm like, all right, cool. So, yeah, so we go eat. So you guys are probably wondering, yo, what happens next? Did you get into the country? Did you get arrested? Did you get illegal? Just stay tuned. Just stay tuned to the end. So now, ate food, and then we pretty much he now then I don't have no suitcase. I just had my backpack, right? And now he's walking me through the gate. So my flight to London is the next morning. As we're walking through the gate, he has my passport in his hand. We get to the gate, he looks at me, he goes, listen, man, word of advice, you're American. Next time you're trying to get back in here, just say you're here visiting a girl, just say you're here on vacation. He's like, you're American. You're fine. It's the Brazilians we're worried about. Gives me the pat on the back. I'm like, wow. Yo, he hands my passport. I'm like, wow. This is a white Portuguese officer telling me this. That moment, I realized I have privilege. Outside of the US, that American passport is just gold. He goes, it's the Brazilians we're worried about. I said, wow. Okay. I said, wow. So now I walk through the gate. So guys, context, I land at 11 a.m. This is probably now around 9 p.m. at this point. So when I was in holding, I'm just like, I'm just in shock. I'm just like, wow, right? Like I was there waiting for hours to then be told I was illegal, right? Now fellas, y'all girl ever say to y'all like, we need to talk, period. No, hey baby, no, I love you, no, we need to talk. That was me the whole time. I'm like, yo, you start thinking about everything, right? You start thinking about everything. That was me in holding for like just 2-3 hours. What did I do? That's all that's running through my mind, right? So I'm now through customs. I'm just sitting there, just like this. I'm like, wow, this really just happened. It's just replaying in my head. I'm just shocked. I was stressed. I started praying. I started meditating. I'm like, what's good? Like, what's going on right now? I'm on my way to London. I start praying. I'm like, what's good? I'm like, God, what's good? I'm like, what's good? Like, you show me Portugal. Like, I'm on my way to England now. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I got no money, but I was like, I trust you. Just like that. I'm like, listen, I pretty much was like, I know that if I get into Portugal, I'm supposed to be here. I was like, I'm going to England, Lord. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I trust you. Let's rock, right? So this is like so before I fall asleep, remember they said my bags never arrived. So I texted a friend of mine who helped me get the flight, right? Who works for the airline. I forgot what airline it was. TAP Air, I believe. Yeah. Works for an airline from Boston. Yeah. Yeah, tap. But the flight was to Tap Air. I was like, yo, they said my bags never arrived. Could you please check the system to see if my bags arrived? I'm like, they're like, all right, cool. So now, I fall asleep. So this is probably like 10, around 10:30 p.m. Right? Remember, I landed at 11 a.m. So around like midnight, it was like so here's a turning point. Around midnight, it was like an angel, right? Someone woke me up, and it was another security officer. He was doing nightly rounds throughout the airport. So he goes, so what do you, and remember, yo, there's not a soul in this airport, right? I don't know what, I think it was a Wednesday, Thursday, I don't know, it was the middle of the week, but my flight is the next morning, right? I'm in Terminal 2, I'm not even in the main terminal. And, no, excuse me, I think I was in the main terminal. And there's not a soul in the airport. So he's doing the nightly rounds, he sees me just laying there, he wakes me up, he goes, hey, what are you doing here? I was like, I have a flight. I'm like, yo, bro, like, I have a flight tomorrow morning to London. He's like, can I see your boarding pass, etc. So I show him everything. I show him my passport. And then I check my phone. I see that my homie was, his friend that works for the airport says, hey, you have, your bags arrived. It says it arrived in the system at 11:05 a.m. Remember, I landed at 11 a.m. So the whole time when I was down there and they said your bags never arrived, it was there. So I checked that, and then so the officer goes, okay, you're all set, you're good, have a safe flight tomorrow. I was like, hold on. I was like, listen, sir, my flight arrived earlier. They said my bags never arrived, but I'm just getting an update from saying that it did arrive. I was like, how can I get my bags? So he goes, well, you would need to go to Lost and Found. So once he said that, in my mind, I was like, oh, that's through customs. I just heard a voice, go again, just go. I'm like, all right. Yo, I'm like, all right, let's rock. Yo. So remember, so now, this is now midnight at this point, like technically the next day in the morning. I walk, there's not a soul in the airport. So now I'm walking to customs, because remember, to get my passport, I technically have to go through customs, to get my bags, right? So I'm looking at everybody. I'm looking at all the workers in line. I'm looking around, make sure I see no workers from earlier. Yo, I'm just shook. So I go to customs. I'm also looking at every worker to see who's chill, right? Before it was a woman that stopped me. I was like, I'm not going to no female officer. I see one dude, feet up like this, beer in hand, magazine. I was like, bingo. So I walk up to him. How you doing, sir? I have a flight to London in the morning. I need to get through to get my bags. He goes, let me see your passport. So he looks at my passport. He's going through my passport. He sees my UK visa from 3 years ago. So in 2019, I was getting my master's and playing basketball in England, and he saw my visa from there. He goes, oh, you're American. You don't need us to get in. You're good. Boom. I grabbed the passport like this. Boom. I said, what? Yo, I'm so shocked. I dropped my passport, keys, all that, as I'm walking into the country. Yo, so y'all are probably thinking what I'm thinking. Why did he let you in? Was he supposed to let you in? Are you now illegal? All that. Listen. So remember how I told you guys about the 30, 90-day rules, 3 months within 6 months. When you leave, for 3 months, you have 3 months for a visa, and then when you leave, you have to leave for at least 3 months for that to restart, right? Months later, so I didn't realize this right when I got in, but months later, I came to find out that when I left, so remember, I left Portugal in August. So September, it was like, I think it was like the beginning of August, when I came to October, basically, had found out that the day I arrived, October 11th, 2022, was the last day within my period of the period that I have to stay outside to then before getting in. Because remember, the lady officer, when she was adding up all the dates, she didn't tell me that. She didn't tell me the situation. I ended up finding this out later. So if I had arrived a day later, 1 day later, I would have been fine. I would have been fine. So it was like all that was supposed to happen. So when the immigration officer let me in, he let me in. Technically, I was fine to get in, but he let me in for the wrong reason. So, because when he let me in, it was now October 12th, because it was now 12 a.m. something. So technically, I was in the first day within outside of the period of me like technically being overstayed, right? But I told him, hey, I'm on my way to London. I got to get through to get my bags. He saw my UK visa because he's under the impression that I'm going to London, right? So he just saw the UK visa and he let me in because of that. First off, that UK visa is 3 years old. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. Was I illegal? I said, what? So now I was like, I'm through? I was like, hold up, what? So now I get in. I'm going downstairs to get my passport, right? So, also, guys, I've left out a couple things, right? Like, so I obviously called, there was a couple people that I had called when I was going through everything, trying to figure everything out, right? One of them was my mentor, another one was the bro in England. So now when I'm through, so for the bro in England, I pretty much messaged him like, yo, bro, I'm pretty much getting denied access to the country. Like, can I just come to London real quick? I'm gonna just figure it out. Like, you know, he's like, okay, cool. So now, now when I get through, I'm now in customs, lost and found, trying to find my bags, right? I'm like, yo, where's my bags? So I don't see it anywhere, right? I don't see it on the belts. I don't see it in lost and found, nothing. I call my mentor, who's basically my father figure, shout out D. The last conversation I had with him was when everything was going on, and I told him, yo, I just got denied. I'm on my way to London. So now I call him like 4 or 5 hours later. I'm like, yo, D, I'm like, I'm through. I'm in. He goes, what? I'm like, yo, I was like, yo, I got in. I was like, but I can't find my bags. He goes, F the bags, you're in. You need to leave the airport before someone from earlier sees you. I was like, you right. Yeah, yo. So I'm walking, as I'm walking out, a flight's coming in, officer walks past me. I'm like, nah, I'm in. That's my story, just like that. So now I get in, I call my homie who I was planning to head to the beach with. Shout out my bro Sanchez, my Cape Verdean bro. I'm like, listen, I'm in. He said, what? I was like, yo, bro, listen, I'll explain everything when you get here. Just please, can you come pick me up from the airport? He's like, I got you. Remember, last thing he knows, 7 hours ago, I told him, yo, I got denied entry. I'm headed to London. So there you have it. I got in. No clothes, no suitcase, one outfit. Spent the night at the bro's crib. The next day, I checked into the hostel. Welcome to my journey in Portugal. So listen, I'm gonna end it off right there. Stay tuned, and y'all are gonna wanna watch part 2 of how I pretty much went from an illegal alien to Portugal resident. I did the impossible, baby. I know y'all gonna wanna watch this. Make sure you like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, join your boy on his Portugal journey. Stay tuned for part 2. You watch the LaBoss Show, baby. God bless.